The first script I ever wrote and first idea I ever had for a film was The Art of Resurrection. That was something which was my first step from being an actor to moving into filmmaking as well. And it was an idea I got as in my head. I put together some news. I got some sad news I got about an old friend and something I'd heard on the news. And somewhere in my head, I put them together into a story. So I, did a number of versions of the script, got a good friend of mine involved to help me with some ideas and things that work and don't work. And then, we realized that we needed help. So, because I'd never written anything before, he'd never written anything before. And so I found a wonderful woman who helped us knock the script into shape. And since then, that was, some years ago now, and I pull it out every few years and have a look, and every few years I make some changes because, essentially because I've grown as a filmmaker and I see things that I didn't see before. So the script is kind of there. I was just reading it last night again and just making some minor little tweaks and having some thoughts about dialogue and, and all sorts of things to do with the script. So why haven't I made it yet? Very good question. Money. It's the usual answer for an indie filmmaker when asked that question, I know. I've had a few times when people have promised me money, and I mentioned that in a much earlier video. And a couple of times I've had people interested, but they wanted to change one of the main beats of the story. So I said no. I can understand why they want to do it, and I could see their thinking that if you take that beat out, it's still a great little movie. But I didn't want to do that. I don't know, maybe I'm an idiot, but I just wanted to stay true to the idea and the movie and the work I'd put into it, and from my friend and the other writer. So that seemed like a cop-out. But that means I didn't get it made. Yeah. And then I was just thinking, and I've been thinking about this for a while, and that, what happens if you walk outside and get hit by a truck kind of idea. What do you wish you would have done? I wish I would have made this movie, The Art of Resurrection. So, not neglecting other things that I've got on, but I need to really hone in on how the hell I'm going to get it made. And it's a story about a guy who gets beaten down by life again and again, and comes back to who he was through a series of startling revelations and reveals. I know that all sounds a bit vague, but it's the kind of story where I just don't want to give anything away. So you have to bear with me for now with that. So how do I get it made? You think, crowdfunding campaign, but and maybe that's the way to go. And if you've ever had a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo, you should check it out if you haven't checked it out recently, because what I found, they formed a partnership with or got bought out by some other company, I can't remember their name, and they updated all their systems or merged their systems or something. And if I looked on Indiegogo recently, and any project, there's only a few, I think I had 3 projects on there, and several projects that I donated to, other people's projects, all of that information gone. There's only one project left, and that was a project I helped some friends of mine to pull together, a crowdfunding campaign I helped some friends of mine pull together. That's still there, but everything else gone. And I just Googled, as you do, and it seems like this is very common with people, which is annoying. So if you do have any historical Indiegogo campaigns there, you might want to go and check. Thankfully, I'd previously, for Kin Spirits, I previously downloaded the information I needed, like, you know, what perks to what people and all that stuff, which is all done now anyway, so it's okay. So that's the obvious path, some sort of crowdfunding campaign. And then, and to make it as economically as possible without you know, without doing it justice. So how do I do that? Well, I'm a great believer, as I've mentioned in at least one previous video, that the 2 things that are most important are the story and the storytellers. And for me, that's the script and the actors. You know, obviously directing and cinematography and sound and music and all the other departments are important. But if push comes to shove and all that other stuff went away or was done very poorly, if you had a good story and good actors telling the story, that goes a long way. I can cast, and I'm going to cast, I'm not going to go for big names, even though that would help with getting money, but then that beat that I mentioned earlier would come under pressure again. So I want to find, my idea is to find very good actors who are not well known, or, you know, are on the way up, or there's so many talented actors around that just don't have the profile for whatever reason. And usually it's just opportunity, or, you know, luck plays a big part. So I'm going to find some people. The lead actress, I've had someone in mind for years, but I want to go and do some a screen test with it, do a few scenes with it, just to be sure, because I want it to be right. And I'll do the same. I'll do some casting with the other main characters. It's not that many, and I'm just working on updating some character profiles I did years ago for these characters to make sure I get them right. And I'll start looking for actors. I'll start amongst people I know who are good and go from there. I know where I want to shoot it, not the exact locations, but the country, so, which is Romania. And I know a production company over there. I haven't met them personally yet, but everything I've heard and seen is all very positive. And and then I just need to find the money. So, do I run a crowdfunding campaign? Because I don't want, it's not like a 10 or 20K kind of deal. It's I'm going to need 100K. Ideally a little bit more than that. So 100K crowdfunding campaign, that's going to be a bit of a tough sell, I think. And I could break it up. I could break up the filming, because there are seasonal chunks of filming. But then, what do? You run 4 crowdfunding campaigns. I don't know, I don't want to push my luck with people. How do I do a crowdfunding campaign which is different, such that it generates interest? People are interested, because let's face it, crowdfunding campaigns for films essentially all have the same perks for people. A credit, a day on the film. It's going to be tough if it's in Romania. Copy of the movie, DVD, producer credit, associate producer credit, and so on. It's all kind of the same. There's some slight variations on it. So even when I go to look at people's campaigns that I might want to support, I think, it's all the same stuff. It'd be nice if something was different. So I think that when I'm looking at other people's campaigns, so I'm sure people think the same. And like I say, I don't want to do 4 campaigns, because I know what I would be like. I would think, what's this Bill up to? Another crowdfunding campaign for his movie? Come on. So I don't want to be that guy, So I'm going to try and brainstorm, and maybe AI will be able to help me with that. Brainstorm ideas about how to fund the movie without compromising the story, with new perks or new ideas for perks. If you have any, please let me know in the description, send me an email, anything. I know at the start, when crowdfunding was sort of in early days, there used to be people who would sort of be your crowdfunding person, and for that, if they raised the money, they would get a part of it, like a 5% fee or something. So maybe there's people like that around. I don't know. There's all these different possibilities that I'm trying to think of. So yes, if you have any ideas, please let me know in the description. Send me an email, a message on social media, anything. And in the meantime, as I say, I'm going to work on the character profiles. I'm going to think long and hard about the script and the scenes and how I want to shoot them, because the more clear I am, it makes everything simpler. And the more I get into it and think about it, who knows, some ideas for funding or great crowdfunding perks or another path to take may present itself. Who knows? But I know from experience that I've been kind of out of the water, so to speak, with this film, and I need to jump back in feet first and really make it a focus. So that's where I'm at right now. Thanks for watching. It'd be great if you could like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and leave a comment or ask a question. I'd love to hear what you think. I hope to see you in the next one.